Hello, Degrassi fans, and welcome to the Degrassi Kid Podcast, where each week we break down the history and impact of our favorite teen TV show. I'm Jocelyn, and this week we're joined by a special guest. This week we're joined by Jennifer Jeffers. Jen is someone who found me on TikTok after I had made a series of videos talking about how lucky I am that the Degrassi cast has started to reach out to me saying they'd like to come on my podcast. Jen wanted to keep that luck going for us and let me know that she's actually married to someone who appeared on Degrassi. Jen Jeffers is the wife of Brendan Jeffers, who played Vince Bell. You'll remember him as that gang member that terrorized Drew and Bianca. He shot Adam at prom, and then later he came back to the series as Tiny's older brother, roping characters like Tiny and Zing into his own gang life. We'll be chatting with Brendan next week to hear about his time on Degrassi, but first we're going to check in with Jen and ask her, what is it like to be married to someone on our favorite TV show? Was she a fan of Degrassi when she was growing up? And what is it like to watch her husband play a villain on TV? Today we're hanging out with Jen Jeffers, wife of Brendan Jeffers, but first let's check into one of Jen's favorite moments in season 11, when Vince thinks he's meeting up with Bianca D'Souza.
Whoa, man. Don't you have a restraining order? I ain't trying to catch any trouble.
I won't tattle if you don't.
Where's B?
She couldn't make it. I've been afraid of you for far too long. I'm not backing down now.
You looking for a fight?
No. Just want to talk.
All right. I'm listening.
Jen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect. And we can hear you. How is your day going?
Having a good day. Yeah, it's the weather's really nice in the Toronto area, so it's been a lovely day. Brendan and I actually went for a long walk earlier today, so that was nice.
Oh.
And yeah, it's been a pretty chill day today. How about you?
I've had a great day. Went to work today. Now I'm here doing this. Are you excited to talk to a bunch of Degrassi fans tonight?
I am excited. I am a Degrassi fan. So I mean, how do you think I found you in the first place?
That's actually what I wanted to ask, is to hear a little bit of this lore of what made you think, okay, here's this huge fan who's obsessed with the show. I'm going to personally connect them to my husband. Isn't that a little scary?
Well, I mean, the thing is like I thought I was a super fan until I saw you guys. So, I mean, I'm not as big as a super fan as you guys, but I mean, I've been watching Degrassi since like Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High. Like I literally just rewatched all of those episodes. So like those are like my favorite ones. But I've also seen Degrassi Next Gen and all of like everything up until, you know, the next class. I've watched them over a million times. So like I'm a Degrassi fan myself. So It just conveniently kind of worked out that I married Brendan. But I mean, I'm all there with you. So I mean, I initially found you because I enjoy it myself. So
because you actually like Degrassi. Okay, that makes this 10,000 times better. I obviously have to level up because I am not married to someone who is on Degrassi, but I'll start working on it now.
Hey, well, you know what? Exactly. I was like, you know what? It could happen. But I mean, it helps that you know, I live in the area, like in the Toronto area and all that. So I mean, I've come across local actors often. I mean, Brendan's circle of friends is full of local actors. So you know,
this is the thing that's going to convince me to move.
Well, PEI is pretty nice. I mean, I've never been, but you know, I certainly would love to go out east sometime. But you know, in my opinion, you're living in the better spot. It's so beautiful out there.
Oh, okay, I like that. We could do a little Freaky Friday someday and just like switch lives for a little bit.
Okay.
I have a question from chat. Barbara Higgins wants to know, how did you and Brendan meet?
Funny story, actually. We met in high school.
Oh.
Yeah. So this was obviously long before his Vince days, but we went to the same high school, but we weren't a couple in high school. We just were, you know, not even really friends, I would say. We knew of each other, and it was an art school as well, because I mean, he obviously, I was wanted to be an actress my whole life as well, and so that's why we both went to an art school, and he was doing the acting program and I was doing the acting program, so we knew each other just by virtue of being in the program, but we weren't really running with the same crowd or anything like that. And then after graduation, we just sort of parted ways. And then fast forward many years, I actually saw him on Degrassi. Weirdly enough, here's me watching Degrassi, and I'm like, "Hey, I know him. That's Brendan." And nothing really came of it at the time, but it kind of just brought eyes to the fact that he was on the show. And then a couple of years after that, I was just browsing Twitter, and you know how, like, in social media, sometimes you're not necessarily connected to somebody, but somebody you know is, so their posts or content come into your feed, and his came in, and I'm like, oh, and I kind of at that time was was currently single.
Oh no, I lost her. Jennifer. Oh, there we go.
Oh, sorry, did you lose me? Sorry, my alarm went off on my phone.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, it just sort of like...
That's okay. It muted you and said that you left, and I was like, oh
no. No, my bad, I'm sorry. Okay. But yeah, so anyway, he came up in my Twitter feed, and I'd seen that he was under, I remembered, oh my gosh, he was on Degrassi. I wonder how that was going. So I kind of reached out to him, and I'm like, oh, like, do you remember me from high school? He's like, of course I remember you. I'm like, awesome. Like, how are things going? I've been seeing you on the show. Like, great job. Like, and I know what Brendan is like. So I know what an amazing acting ability he had to pull that character, because Brendan, we can get into that later, but he's absolutely nothing like that. And so then we started chatting, and before you knew it, we were texting, and then we were going out together, and before I knew it, we were dating and moving in together and getting married and all that. So I mean, we've been together all in all going on 11 years, and it just sort of happens. Yeah, so
I am shocked. You're living the fangirl dream, in my opinion. You saw him on Degrassi, seen him on social media, slid into his DMs, and now you're married.
Yes. Well, yes, except that, forgetting the part that we knew each other, and we had even followed each other, I mean, on Facebook for a long time. But yeah, it's not like I didn't, he was some stranger. I just slid into his DMs. But I mean, we also remember we grew up in the same community. Like, we also found out once we started getting to know each other better that he actually went to the same junior high as I did, and our favorite teacher was the same. And then you start talking, and you realize, like, we ran with the same crowds, we went to the same clubs. It's easy to advance a relationship when somebody, oh, you remember when that happened in high school? Oh, totally, I remember that. And do you remember so and so? And it was easy to kind of be together, because we knew and kind of had a parallel life, if you want to say, just not together. So yeah, and then it just kind of was an extra bonus that he was on Degrassi and followed his dream of being an actor, because I gave that up after high school. I kind of was like, I don't want to do that.
That's why I wanted to know if you had any interest in acting, but just a young dream and then not interested now.
Yeah, so I wanted to when I was younger. I definitely had aspirations to do that, but I can't tell you why or where or from what I decided I didn't want to do it anymore, but for whatever reason, I just didn't want to do it anymore. And so I pursued business and kind of went down that path. And now I work, in more of the business and field, and has nothing to do with acting. However, who do you think helps Brendan with all of his auditions and his self-tapes and all of that stuff? That would be me. So yeah, so I'm always on the other 90% of the time anyway. Sometimes I can't. I try to help him as much as possible. But whenever he's doing audition self-tapes or things like that, I'm always the one doing the other lines. And it's fun because sometimes I'll be doing the other lines, and I get too into it, and I want to the shit out of it, and he'll be like, oh, you really don't need to do it that much. And I can't help myself, because I still love to act. I have a colorful personality, and I enjoy doing it. But it works really well for Brendan, because when you have somebody that knows what they're doing during the audition, it's easier for him to get his self-tape done, because he's got someone who knows that he's really comfortable with, and two, that he can direct and basically say, do it like this, so that I can react like that, kind of thing. So yeah,
love that. Maybe someday someone will hear one of his self-tapes and then be like, who's that? Let's hire her.
Well, we did audition together one time. So during the pandemic, really early in the pandemic, when I guess they were figuring things out, there was his agent. I think he had they were like, there was a casting call or something out for a couple. And they knew that it was likely that one half of the couple wouldn't be a professional actor, but they were, looking to do a commercial. It was during the pandemic. And so I got to audition with him. And we actually got put on hold for that, believe it or not, which in the acting world means, hey, we're interested, and we're just, usually they put like one or two or three people on hold while they figure out like the logistics and all that. So they actually did put us on hold. So I was like, oh, wow. But we never ended up booking it. But yeah, it was fun.
Well, I do hope you guys get to book something together in the future, because
That would be fun. I mean, in theory, but at the same time, like as you can see, I'm not on camera because I am a little camera shy when it comes to things like this, and so I'm not as confident in my acting ability, so I don't know that I would like honestly seriously do that more than just talk about it. But yeah, you never know. You never
That's
know.
valid. That's valid. I talk about wanting to be on Degrassi all the time, but I do think in front of a camera I would absolutely choke. I would be so scared.
Well, I mean, it's not as glamorous as you'd think either, because like Brendan, aside from acting, he also writes and directs some of his own short films. So if you guys are ever interested in that, let me know, Jocelyn, and I could, pass that along. But he has some other short films and things that he's directed, and I've been on set with him on those, and it's a lot of repetitive boringness, to be honest. So movie making is it's obviously there's a lots of fun parts to it, but I mean, if it's not your job and it's not something that you are passionate about, like it can, they want to do it, they're doing a scene and they shoot it like 65 different ways and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, just get over it, like let's go, let's move on to the next one. So like, it's got its moments, but at the same time, I would rather not be on set because it's not my jam.
True. So valid. I also am going to catch a few people up because they just joined. We are here with Jen. Jen is married to Brendan Jeffers, who played Vince on Degrassi, more in the later half of Degrassi. And she's here answering questions for us. So if you have any questions, you can pop them in chat and I will read them out. But I think the biggest question that we all have is, what is it like to be married to Vince, this terrifying guy? He's in a gang. He's roping kids into violence. What is it like for you?
Well, that's an interesting question. I was thinking about how to answer that question if it came up, because I mean, on one hand, he's just my husband. So it's not something that I ultimately think a lot about, like it's just my life, right? I fell in love with somebody that I went to high school with, and married him, and we have a life together, and he's, I don't often get to sing his praises in a public forum, but I mean, Brendan is just the sweetest, most wonderful man. He was raised right. He treats me like a queen, and I couldn't be a luckier person. And so the fact that he's an actor, or specifically on Degrassi, doesn't enter my mind on the daily. However, there are moments where, more so when he was like actively on the show, but he still gets recognized, and sometimes people fangirl or fanboy out on over it. And then it kind of, it is weird to me in a way, because I'm like, it's just Brendan. Like, why are you freaking out? And so it's interesting in that way. But the fact that, as like Vince was maybe not so much in the last part of his, he kind of softened a tad in the episodes with Tiny and Zig. He kind of softened a little bit, but he was still a bad boy. But earlier on, when he was doing season 14 and got involved with sorry, I was gonna say Luke, I meant to say
Drew.
What is this? Drew, thank you. I'm like, what's the character's name? Drew and Bianca and all that. That was definitely a scary Vince moment. And so we have spoke a lot about it, and I joke about like how it would be interesting to date Vince instead of Brendan. But at the same time, like I would never have got involved with someone like Vince, because Vince is, not a nice man. But
to put it lightly.
yeah, he's not a nice man. Exactly. I mean, like you said, some of the things we can't talk about on live is we don't want to get it shut down. But I mean, go watch season 14 and you'll kind of get an idea. But I mean, it's fun to hear the stories because Brendan will tell me like some of the things that happen on set, or I've rewatched the episode with him multiple times, like some of those episodes, and he'll tell me like, oh, like I ad-libbed that, or I asked for, like I asked the director to give me that prop or give me this, and I get kind of the insights on some of that stuff, which is kind of fun. And he worked directly with Stefan. I think Stefan was directing those episodes, if I'm mistaken. And so, I'm like I fangirl over the older Degrassi cast. So if I was like really hoping that he would take me to, if there was a Degrassi event that I'm like, introduce me to Stefan. Like I want to meet Joey Jeremiah. Like those are the ones that I want. Not that I would, want to meet the other ones, but like, that was my like obsession was more the earlier Degrassi years. But so to answer the question about what's it like to be married to him, I mean, it's wonderful. Like he's my husband and we have a fantastic relationship, and I just feel really blessed to be married to him. And when I have moments of when Degrassi comes into our life, it's always fun. Like sometimes I'm there, or sometimes he'll come home and he'll say, "Oh, I was recognized today," and he'll tell me the story, and it's kind of fun. And yeah, so
that is so cool. I know Natalie said getting behind the scenes information while watching would be the coolest. Yeah, like that. I was going to ask you if you've ever watched his episodes together, and it seems like you 100%. Do a lot.
Yeah, we have done that because I mean, I will rewatch Degrassi. Like he doesn't really watch the stuff that he's in that much, but like I rewatch Degrassi often, and then sometimes he'll be like, "Oh, your episodes are on," because like I reached season 14. And he'll come and watch them, and even I'm trying to remember Bianca. I can't remember the actress's name. But she was cast in one of Brendan's short films before she was on Degrassi. So Brendan knew her because I think he or one of the partners that he was working with cast her in that. So they knew each other before going on Degrassi.
This is good. I should always talk to someone's spouse or partner before I interview them, because now I'm knowing all the questions that I need to ask whenever I get him on our podcast together.
Yes, exactly. It works out well because now you can pre-prep all those questions.
Exactly. Shell wants to know if you were a fan of the character Stephanie K from Degrassi Junior High. Were you a Stephanie K fan?
Yes and no. I mean, I loved her, but because she was the way she was. Like I wasn't like, oh, I love her because she was a great character, but I always saw her as not a villain, but kind of an antagonist in the show. So she was a really necessary character. But I mean, let me say, I wouldn't have been friends with Stephanie K myself. I'm more of a Lucy, I think, than a Stephanie K. But yeah, she was sort of fun to watch though. Like I love those episodes, but I always think she's so unnecessarily cruel to her brother.
Oh, true.
Poor Arthur.
I went into this thinking like, okay, maybe you've seen the episodes that Brendan's in, like maybe you caught the ones around it. I did not expect that you would like fully be able to talk about Stephanie K and how she treats Arthur Pawlowski.
Full on. Yeah, I was like, you can, I've like I've said, I've literally seen them all 100 times. So.
Oh my God. What makes you a fan of Degrassi in the first place?
Well, growing up, it was just part of our lexicon, I guess, like growing up in Toronto. And I mean, we used to even watch them in school, like in health class. It would be like, oh, today we're going to be talking about, having sex education. So we're rolling out the episode where Wheels and Stephanie K were planning on doing it. Okay, kids, like watch the show. So that's sort of how we kind of like got into it as a kid. And then I just always loved the show. So I always, watched it growing up. And then the movie Schools Out came out, and it was kind of like, oh, that's the end of Degrassi. And like, we just assumed that would be the end. And then when Next Generation came out, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, this is a whole other thing. And it obviously was it had the same vibe, but it was more for a newer generation, obviously. So, by that point, I was just missing Degrassi. So I just started watching the new one, and then just kept going. And so like, it just spoke to, it's just a show for that speaks to kids on a level that makes sense, I guess, and in their own language. And that's how it always, it's a timeless show. And I think it's also ageless. Like, you don't need to be 14 to watch the show. Like, anybody can watch it because it's just that good. I loved Spike. Sorry, I see the Spike question.
Yes,
in the
please
questions.
call us up from chat, please.
And I love Spike. Like, that's simple. I think that storyline was ahead of its time as well. Because, I mean, she was 13 years old, got pregnant in like the 80s. And obviously, little did we know, set up the entire next generation by having Emma. So,
so like this is crazy. You know everything. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Well,
I know it all. I know the whole lore, the whole Degrassi lore.
Well, Cece wants to know your favorite couple on Degrassi.
My favorite couple. I'm gonna have to go with Joey and Caitlin.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, Joey and Caitlin, for sure.
Okay, so then what did you think about the fact that Kevin Smith came in and ruined them in The Next Generation?
I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of that, for sure. I mean, that was probably, like, that whole Kevin Smith thing was probably one of my lesser of my favorite plot lines. Like, I just felt totally unnecessary. I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? And the whole movie was weird and
I love this. This is definitely how this fandom also feels. Like, I respect Kevin Smith in the sense that, like, he was such a huge fan of the show that he wanted to come in and one of his dreams was to kiss Caitlin Ryan. Like, if I could completely ruin Degrassi to kiss my favorite actor, I would do the same. But as a fan of the show, I was kind of just like, who are these episodes for? Like, they feel so disconnected from the world. I love that we're on the same page.
I totally agree. And it was, I don't know, like, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. I mean, I don't dislike it. It was just, but at the same time, the backdrop set up, Paige and was it Alex?
Yes.
Alex? Yeah.
Yes.
It set that relationship up. So, there was a purpose for it, I suppose, but just specifically, I don't know. It just was weird. It just had weirdness to it that I was kind of like, whatever, but.
I love this. Cece said she prefers Simon and Alexa over Caitlin Joey. I was a big fan of Simon and Alexa, specifically Alexa, because I think she's the funniest character from that era.
Well, here's my beef with Alexa. She was bossy over poor Simon. Like, don't you remember?
Yeah, but he needed that.
Did he, though? I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Simon was this, innocent guy. He's a brand new kid. Mm-hmm. Comes to Degrassi. Within like the first day, Alexa meets him and they become smitten. But then if you remember, she gets jealous of Michelle, totally breaks up with Simon to go with BLT.
True.
And screws that up for poor Michelle, at least at first, and then goes begging back to Simon and he takes her back. But I just remember that scene where they're all out for lunch, right? She's like, oh, come out to lunch with us. So like Michelle and BLT and Simon and Alexa all go for lunch. And then she's like totally belittling Simon. She's like, no one's talking to you, Simon, or shut up, Simon, or something like that. I'm like, rude. So,
God, I would never have dreamed that I would be on TikTok Live with you while you defend Simon from Degrassi Junior High. This is incredible.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I definitely love the character, and Alexa was a great character, and they obviously ended up married and all that stuff. There were just moments where I'm like, it's just, I don't know, a bit unnecessary. Like, she shouldn't be treating her man like that. That's just...
You're right. You changed my mind. Kate wants to know the first episode of Degrassi you ever watched. Do you remember?
Yeah, the first episode. So Degrassi Junior High. Yeah, I wasn't a huge... I have seen bits and pieces of Kids of Degrassi Street, but I was definitely, like the first episode of Degrassi Junior High was the first episode I watched.
That is so freaking cool. The Cheesecake wants to know, do you ever wish you could have appeared in Degrassi?
I think when I was younger and I wanted to be on TV, I would say yes, definitely. Yeah.
What do you think your character would do if you went to Degrassi? I'm putting you on the spot with that one, but what do you think?
I'd like to think, well, it depends. If I was going to be doing a character that was like opposite of myself, then I would probably want to be a villain character and, be like the Zoe or, the Paige maybe type of character. But if I was doing something more like myself, then I would probably be Nah, I was gonna say maybe more like an Emma, I would say. I think I would be, I mean, Emma annoyed me at times because I just kind of like stay out of people's business, you know? It's like that's
Mm.
what kind of was Emma, but at the same time, she holds the same values as I do in terms of being, like standing up for the little guys and advocating and all that kind of stuff. So I think I might be a bit of an Emma.
That is so beautiful. Emma's one of those characters that I definitely love watching her, but I know if I went to high school with her, we would have fought. We would have disagreed on everything.
Yeah, and I really loved Manny. I loved her, but at the same time, like she just got herself into so much messes,
Mm.
where I'm like, girl, you need to be smarter. Like it was, and I also kind of, you know, her and that whole Craig situation. I'm like, he's bad news. Like back off. And I can see the attraction, but I mean, he's you're the homewrecker. Like get out of there. But I never really liked Ashley, to be honest. So
You're an Ashley hater. No one in the
not
fandom likes
a
Ashley.
hater. Like let's not go. Yeah, Manny Santos, my you have grown. Was it a who said that? Was it
That
I was
was
gonna say
Jimmy Brooks
I was
after
gonna
her.
say, was it Drake? I was gonna
It was
say that. Yeah,
Drake.
I thought it
Wait,
was.
yeah. Have
Yeah,
you ever
yeah.
met Drake? That's probably the question you
Have
get the most.
have not met Drake. Brendan, I think, did, but not on Degrassi. I think it was something else. I don't remember. I remember him saying that, but I think, but again, unrelated to Degrassi, I don't think.
That's
But
right.
yeah, they weren't anywhere close to being on the same season. No,
That's so cool, though. That's the number one question I get is if I have met Drake, and I have not met Drake, and I don't think I
I've
will
not met
ever
Drake.
get the opportunity. He's too
No,
famous.
no. Let's try to get him on your podcast.
Yeah. Kate wants to know: do you have a favorite episode of Degrassi?
Um, yeah, I have a couple of favorite episodes. Again, I go back to Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High. Like my favorite episodes always come out of there, and one that always sticks out of my mind is the one where Wheels goes to find his real dad in Port Hope.
Yes.
I love that episode. I don't know why. It always sticks out. And then I love um I love the episode where I don't know why, but it's a Christmas episode in Degrassi The Next Generation where
Oh,
Manny is in the skating rink and like that's where like Craig really gets busted. And he
Holiday is the name of that
gives
episode.
presents to both of the girls, and then obviously Brendan's episodes. So like I love
Oh,
one specific episode is the episode. Forget the name of the episode, but it's the one that is right before the prom episode, and
oh,
he has a great like part at the very end where he and Drew are at a restaurant or something, and Drew's basically just like telling him to let her go and back off and this and that and the next thing, and he's like, all right, we're cool, we're not, I'm not gonna do nothing, and then he ends up showing up at the prom and doing what he did. But that's just a really great scene, and that was a great
oh.
episode.
I
Yeah.
love hearing your favorite of his specifically. That is so cute. If you came face to face with Vince, how do you think you would handle Vince? Would you try to confront him and tell him turn his
Well,
life around, or would you like get away from him?
here's the thing. Vince is hot. So, like, even outside of him being my husband, like, I don't like necessarily go for the bad boys, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I would want to be like, you know,
I can fix him.
yeah, yeah. So, oh, sorry, my son is just come into the room. Hello, my love. Yes, I'm on a call right now. Sorry. um, so yeah, I mean, I think I would kind of like if I met him, I might like flirt with him, to be honest with you. But Brendan, I've joked about that with him before, and I'm like, and he said that he doesn't think that Vince would be tempted by me. I'm like, all right, well,
Rude. What the heck? I think you can turn him. I think you can fix him. I believe in you.
maybe I think I could fix him too. But maybe once Vince grew older, maybe he would leave the gang life and
Yeah, settle
become
down.
a more. But yeah, I always kind of like have a thing for Vince.
Oh, I like that. That's so cool. Colin wants to know if you were in Degrassi, who do you think would be your best friend?
Oh, let's see. Which season, Colin? Give me a season,
Ooh,
or no, not a season. Sorry, give me like are we
era.
talking next class? Are we talking next gen? Or are we talking like original? Like, give me a season to be specific, because
Yeah,
I feel
Colin's.
like I would have a different answer depending on what that was.
We'll see if Colin suggests. I did like Colin did say, I don't like bad boys. Also, her Mary's Vince's actor. I like that. Well,
I know, right?
we'll ask you from each generation. Give us from Degrassi High, kind of TNG, and then the later era. Who would your best friends be?
Okay, so original Degrassi, I think I would want to be best friends with Lucy.
Same.
In Degrassi Next Gen, probably Emma, because again, I think we're really like-minded. And then next class, I don't know. I don't know that I would be best friends with anybody in the next class.
Fair. It's also I find I disconnect from next class sometimes because they seem just so young to me. I don't know
Well,
why
that's
specifically
it,
that class.
exactly.
They feel like babies, even though I
I
don't
would
feel that
agree
about
with
any other
you.
generation.
I do really like Holly J, though, in the new Holly J, not the original like mean Holly J, but and obviously I know that you're a big fan of Fiona, so I think the two of them I would like to be like replace Anya and be the third
Okay,
part of that crew.
I would love that. I can't even imagine Fiona Coyne interacting with Vince. Like I think she would just like check herself out of that situation.
Oh no, they definitely wouldn't interact. She would just be like, nope, moving on.
Moving on. Oh yeah, everybody is telling you that your favorite character has to be Tiny from X Class because that's Vince's brother.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And I've met Richard in person. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
he's just as nice as you would think. And that is, somebody mentioned that earlier about it being a great casting, I think before I joined the live, and it so is great casting. Yeah, like when I've seen Brendan and Richard like side by side, and they do look like they could be related.
they do.
But as you would expect, Tiny is tall. He's so big.
Oh yeah, I was freaking out whenever I saw that Vince came back because I like it's so far into the show that you're just like, oh okay, like his storyline is gone, he's not going to be here, and then all of a sudden they do this whole world building where his little brother goes to Degrassi. I was fangirling. What did you think about the fact that he came back?
Yeah. So when we started dating initially, he had just finished filming his second bout. So we got to watch those episodes air together. And so, he didn't really reveal anything to me about what was going to happen, which was unfair because like I'm one of those people that I don't like to be surprised. Like I will read the end of a book like before I finish it, and like Wikipedia the end of movies and things, because like I'm not like, I don't like surprises, but he wouldn't reveal any of it to me. But and at that time, I don't know if they aired it this way in the States, probably did, but if you remember, the next class, instead of airing it week by week, they were airing it day by day. So all of his episodes aired over the course of like 3 or 4 days. And so thankfully I didn't have to wait too long to find out what happened, but no, it was awesome. So he was happy when they called him back as well, as he really loved like being on Degrassi. Was a great experience for him. So when they had called him back to come back, he was like, really thrilled to go back and do another bout. So
that makes me so happy. Have you ever I know that you've told some stories about meeting some people from Degrassi. As a fan, have you ever gotten a little like starstruck and being like, oh, I watched you on TV?
No, because like, it's sort of, I've sort of gotten used to it to a degree, but I mean, it depends. Like, I mean, I think that if, he took his acting career to a level where he was acting alongside like some really big names, like if he was like, oh, we're going to Denzel's house, I think I probably would get starstruck then, because I have like certain actors that I would be really, really starstruck by, but generally I'm not the starstruck type.
True. Oh my God, I'm starstruck over everybody.
But I think that kind of comes with the fact that you become a little bit more, I wouldn't say desensitized, but when you're married to an actor and you're kind of seeing the other side of things, and it humanizes everyone, I guess, if that makes sense.
That's so true.
Like we have a friend of ours that made it big recently. Simu Liu. So he he plays Shang-Chi in the Marvel movies.
Oh, yes. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Was
so
he in the Barbie movie? Or no?
he was in the Barbie movie, and he
Okay,
was
that's right.
also where he originally achieved fame was in Kim's Convenience.
Oh.
So Simu was, in some of Brendan's short films. And so we got to hang out with him. And, I get asked that a lot as well. Like, oh, you knew Simu? I'm like, yeah, he's a great guy. Like, he was always really nice to me. Like, one time we went to this event together and he was like holding my pizza and my drink while I fixed my dress. Like, he was a great guy,
cool.
but we haven't talked to him in a long time. Like, he was off doing his thing. And Brendan actually ran into him recently. And, got to say, Brendan was doing an event and Simu was there and he was like, oh, hey, Brendan, and everything. So like, he still remembered us. So he's still super grounded. So I guess the question is like, to answer the question, I don't really get starstruck that regularly, but I mean, I definitely would have some actors, I think, that would do it to me. Although actually I'm lying to you. There was one time Brenda did a movie, with Noomi Rapace. Gosh, I forget the name of the film. But there was an after party, and okay, I'm a massive, massive, massive fan of Prison Break.
Okay.
And one of the actors from Prison Break was in that film. And at the after party, I was like, oh my God, like, you have to introduce him. He's Peter Stormare.
Oh,
and I'm like,
God.
I was fangirling, but I didn't. I like withheld it, and I spoke to him for like a minute. I'm like, hi, I'm Jen, and then I walked off. So yeah, I did get starstruck over that. Yeah, I digress. I did.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you know what the experience is like, because your brain just like goes blank. You're like, I've been waiting for this moment for my whole life. I never thought this was happening. And then you're just in front of them, and you're just like freaking out. So I'm glad you know what that experience is like.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, I also would fangirl over things that aren't actors, like, because there's other things that I like in life that, like, I think if I met, certain people, I might fangirl over that. But I think, oh, thank you. Brendan's pointing at something. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. Yes, Brendan is in the room. I'm sorry.
Hi, Brendan. Hi on behalf of us. We're all here.
I'll say hello. He's reminding me that I have to give my child medicine.
Oh, yes.
I don't have to go, though. I don't have to go.
Okay. I do only have a few questions, unless the chat has something. But I wanted to ask you, since I'm going to be interviewing Brendan, is there anything specifically that you suggest I should ask him about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the only thing I would suggest beyond what you're probably already going to ask him is about maybe some of his more recent projects, because he has recently filmed a movie that might be beneficial to ask him about that.
Okay.
And maybe about work he's done since being on Degrassi, because he's definitely well known for being Vince, but I would love to see some of his other projects be highlighted, and not he does a lot more things outside of just that one character. I'd love everyone to know about.
I like that. Well, I was stalking his IMDb, and I know he has 32 acting credits. He has 6 producer credits, 4 writing credits. I'm sure even more that doesn't even appear on IMDb. But what is your favorite Brendan project outside of Degrassi?
Outside of Degrassi, I was going to say I love, like, that is my favorite because I'm a Degrassi fan. But outside of Degrassi, I definitely like some of his short films that he's made. But I think probably one of his more recent ones that he did was a film called Song and Story, Amazing Grace. Song and Story, Amazing Grace. And that was filmed in Ottawa. And it's a really great film, and he had a really great role in that. And he played a really nice character in that one. So like a nice, non-Vincy character, which was nice. So if you haven't seen that one, definitely check that out.
Yes, we'll have to dive into a little bit of Brendan's work, because I have a Discord page where every week we watched things that feature Degrassi actors or were made by Degrassi actors. So we'll have to make sure that we put Brendan's into the roster and see.
For sure, yeah, and definitely if you want to reach out to me afterward, I could put you on some of his short films, so that those would be really fun to watch. Like he has done such good and fun work on some of those short films. And I mean, one of them even has a music video where he's singing and dancing in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We love that. Perfect. Taylor is already hyped for Brendan movie night. I'm so excited. Well, Jen, thanks for joining us. Did you have a good time hanging out with a bunch of Degrassi fans and talking Degrassi?
I did have a great time. 100%. I love I love to talk. So, you know,
Good.
anyone wants to reach out to me after the fact, feel free.
Good. Yeah, guys, go follow Jen. She's the nicest person on the planet. Thank you so much for just literally popping into my DMs being like, hey, my husband was on Degrassi. You can come on your podcast. Thanks for signing him up.
Yeah, well, you're super welcome. And he was really eager to do it when I told him about it. So it's not like I had to sell him at all.
Oh, that makes me so stoked. Well, my friends, we are going to say goodnight and thank you to Jen. And if you head on over to the link in my bio, patreon.com/DegrassiKid, you can ask Brendan questions. And now we can even ask Brendan questions about Jen. It'll be this whole thing. Jen, thank you for joining us. And I hope you have a good night. Did we cover everything? Was there anything else you wanted to share?
I think we covered it all.
Okay, cool. I'm so proud of us. Thank you so much for doing this. This is one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, Jen.
Bye.
Thank you so much to Jen for coming on TikTok Live with me. I go live every Tuesday from 8 to 9 Eastern, and it was so nice to have such a cool guest join us and talk about the show. I had no idea that Jen was such a huge fan of Degrassi, and it felt so cool to be able to ask her such intricate details like Simon and Alexa and Spike and Stephanie K and how she relates to Emma. That was so freaking cool. Shout out to everyone who also came to the TikTok Live and hung out with us. It's so huge that you throw your support our way every single week. That's the reason we can keep doing these things, baby. So thanks for checking it out. I also want to say a welcome to a brand new Patreon subscriber. We had River J join our Patreon for the very first time. I'm so excited to have you be a part of the community. I hope that you love it here. And of course, I have to say a thank you to everyone who subscribes over and over again and makes all of these projects possible. All of that love is going to our friends, Jolene and Kennedy, who are on our producer tier, Amber, Amethyst, Angelica, Christopher, Degrassi CSI, Emily, Catherine, Laura, Mundo Man 333, Nicholas, Nikki, Sarah J, and Shannon, who are on our student council tier, and our friends on the mailer tier, Adam, Alyssa, Angie, Becca, Billy, Blueberry, Blue Estrella, Bridget Gates, Brittany, Callie, Katrina, Kristen, Cosmo, Courtney, Darcy, Dave, Evie, Gina, Jess, Joe, Joey, Casey, Kristen, 2 Kristens, I like that, Layla, Legna, Lindsay, Lizzie, Megan, Mina, Nadia, Rachel, Racine, Sarah. That love's also going to Samantha, Stephanie, Tawny, Taylor, and our postcard members, Barbara, Brittany, Caitlin, Degrassi Generations Facebook page. That's Nixon, and I recommend you join. It's a pretty good Facebook group. Jess, Randy, and our ultimate Degrassi fans, Alana, Ashley, Aubrey, Chrissy, David, Emily, Glenn, Jamie, Jeanette, Crystal, Kylia, Lizzie Games, Lulu, Mackenzie, Melissa, Mike, Mix, Lucy, Samantha, Sarah, Shane, Sanita, and Tierney. Literally could not do any of this stuff without all of you guys making this possible. Thank you so much for your continued support. And I'm excited to see you guys next week when we interview Brendan Jeffers from Degrassi. Thanks for your love. Bye.